Good evening, everyone. It is election night 2024, and I apologize in advance. My ring light stopped working, so I'm recording without it. So if the video appears a little darker than usual, I do apologize. So here we are, election night 2024. It is all led up to this point in time where we are right here, right now. I voted early 2 weeks ago, so that has been done and over with for quite some time now. This election was unlike any other. It was pretty draining, to say the least. It has definitely been unlike any other election during my lifetime. I have never seen anything quite like this. In a video that I did a few months ago, I mentioned that I was voting for Donald Trump, and that's who I voted for. My first time voting Republican, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, I'm an independent. But with the way things have been going for the past 3 years, going on 4 years now, it's been awful, really. And a lot of people are fed up and want change. A lot of people are hurting right now with inflation, illegal immigration, the wars that are going on that we're funding, that our tax dollars are funding. I couldn't bring myself to vote for Kamala Harris. And I don't think she's a black woman. Her mother is Indian, East Indian, and her father is Irish and Indian as well, I believe. But she lied about her identity. I didn't like that. Why do you have to lie? Just be who you are and be honest and transparent with people. Show them who you really are. Don't lie to them and expect them to like you or want them to like you. And I felt that's what she did. She played on that, which was wrong. She played the race card. And last month we had Obama, more like no Obama, because we got absolutely nothing from him being president, wagging his finger at those young black men. I believe it was a Kamala Harris campaign office where these guys were at. So they were in favor of Kamala, most likely. All of them were. But I think that video was released to try to get other blacks on board, namely black men on board with Kamala Harris, and Obama wagging his finger, admonishing black men for not supporting Kamala Harris like that, which is wrong. And you notice how they did not try that with any other group of people. They didn't try it with Asian men, Indian men, definitely not with white men, Hispanic men. They always target black men with that type of rhetoric, which was wrong. And he lied and said that she grew up like them. Kamala Harris did not grow up in a black household, an African American household, even. Not at all. She was raised in a very well to do family in Jamaica and in Canada. And she lived in the US for a short time, I believe. I'm not sure how long, but her parents had servants help around the house in Jamaica. And I heard also that her family owned slaves in Jamaica, and she was a beneficiary of that. But the picture that she took with the lady who she said was her grandmother was actually the hired help. And Candace Owens did more research into Kamala Harris because the media, she had the machine behind her the whole time. She was installed like a commode. There was no primary held that voted her as the candidate for the Democrats. And I think Biden is upset. He feels betrayed by her. If Kamala Harris had any tact, any class, she would have said, okay, well, I'm going to stand by Joe Biden. I do not want to, and not that Joe Biden's great. He's not. He's been awful. But she could have said, I'll just wait until 2028. I'll be better prepared, and she would have showed more loyalty to Biden, who chose her as his running mate because he wanted someone who was black adjacent. That's why he selected her. Maybe it was her way of getting back at him for that. Her seeking out revenge. I don't know, but Biden even said that she has been with him on everything. So she can't say that she's not Joe Biden, that her policies are not in alignment with him, that she is not responsible for all the craziness that has taken place over the last 4 years now. This country, sadly, is in decline. And we need someone in office who can get it back on the right track. I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a huge Trump supporter, not at all. But his values align more with what I would like to see. I want a better economy. Under Trump, I did much better than I did under Biden Harris. Inflation was down with Donald Trump. More people were employed, and we didn't have illegal immigration going on like we do now. It's quadrupled under the Biden Harris administration. And within Biden's first 45 days, he reversed the stay in Mexico law that would have kept the borders secure, the remain in Mexico policy. Why? Because they want a new voter class. They're trying to push blacks out. The Democrats rely on the black vote. And in this election, they're counting on the black vote for more of us to turn out for them. But how could you possibly, if you're a black person, how could you possibly vote for a candidate who boldly says that they're doing nothing for you, who has had a history of locking up people who look like you, and who have purposely blocked evidence that would have exonerated someone just for their benefit, who pranced around with a married man, who is running on abortion? That's been Kamala Harris's campaign, running on abortion, unaliving children. That's wrong. It's really wrong. How could a church invite someone into their church whose campaign has been based on that? I don't understand it. And Michelle Obama, she had words too. She told, and I believe she was directing this at black women, to betray their husbands by voting or not telling them who they're voting for, which is wrong. That's a gender divide. The Democrats, they seem to be in favor of a gender war. And the fact is, the truth is that we all need each other. Men need women and women need men. Both genders are necessary. But going back to the abortion issue, reproductive rights. To be honest, truthfully speaking, there's nothing that Kamala Harris can do. The Dobbs decision has already been made. It's already been decided by the Supreme Court. It's now in the hands of the states to determine whether or not they want to allow that to take place in their states, in their particular state. I voted against it. Here in Florida, they actually had marijuana on the ballot too. I voted against that as well because I lived out in Colorado for many years, and I saw what it did to Colorado when they legalized marijuana. Prices went up, insurance went up, home prices went up, more people moved in. A lot of them came over from California. Drivers got worse. There were more fatalities on the road, more accidents. Dispensaries were opening everywhere. You smelled it out in public, just about anywhere. Everywhere you'd go, just about. And I do not want to see that happen here. I understand that some people may need it for medicinal reasons. To have recreational marijuana legalized here in Florida, I don't think it'll be good for the state. And maybe you disagree with me on that issue, but that's how I feel about it. I've witnessed it firsthand out in Colorado. Probably all over the place. I have a list here that I'm looking at. I'm trying to determine the order that I would like to talk about the topics that I have. Also, the entertainers. You notice how Kamala Harris's campaign, they had all of these different entertainers, even bad entertainers like Cardi B, Meg the Stallion, and some rapper. I think she's a rapper named Gorilla or Glory. I don't know what she calls herself. I had never heard of her, just not until recently. I think it was earlier this year, Cardi B was screaming at the top of her lungs saying that she's not endorsing a candidate. And now we have this, her endorsing Kamala. You know, a lot of these celebrities have been paid off, a lot of them are being blackmailed. The expression that was on Usher's face, he looked like he did not want to be there. Even Beyonce, I heard she was paid $10 million for making the appearance, and it was an appearance, not a performance, at Kamala Harris's rally. I think her speech was only about 4 minutes. And Kelly Rowland looking dressed like Beetlejuice. I didn't understand that. But they think that blacks are still motivated by celebrities. And maybe some of us still are, those of us who are not politically intelligent. But it's a new day, and a lot of us, we know that these celebrities, they live completely separate lives from us. They're not struggling to pay their bills, wondering how they're going to make ends meet, not being able to afford enough food at the grocery store or the market. That's what it has been like for a lot of Americans under this administration. To vote for more of that, even if you don't like Donald Trump, I don't understand it. There have been several attempts on Donald Trump's life. And for someone like him, I mean, the guy's a billionaire, he's worth billions of dollars. Why would he want to run for president and take on more problems he doesn't really need to take on? You must be very patriotic to put yourself in that position. And this is what, the third time now? Possibly the fourth? He could easily just retire and say, I'm okay. There's really nothing I need to do, but he didn't do that. Even with all the felonies and the lawfare that was brought against him, he continued, he carried on, he pressed forward. And that says a lot to me. Donald Trump isn't a perfect guy, not by any means, but he's better suited to be president again than Kamala Harris. He is tried and true. And Kamala Harris, she kind of is too, but she's not true. Things have not worked under this administration. They had their chance to be better than Donald Trump, to prove that they were better, but they chose not to do it. And as far as getting the black vote, if the Democrats lose tonight due to not having enough black support, they better not blame black men or black people for not supporting them. No. They're the only ones to blame. They must blame themselves and no one else. They're the ones who have had bad policies, who have ignored blacks, practiced benign neglect. They gave the Asians a hate crime bill. They could have easily had done the same for blacks. Back in 2020, George Floyd, they never signed the George Floyd bill or act. I'm not sure the exact name for it, but they never did that. They did not end qualified immunity. They could have done that too. Instead, Biden was saying, well, we need to fund the police, fund the police. And I'm not against police. There are a lot of great police officers out there who are doing an outstanding job. But there are a lot of rogue cops too who should not be wearing that uniform. So Kamala Harris is equally complicit with the failure of the Biden Harris administration. Those of us who are fed up, we want a better economy. We want a safer America. We want secure borders. We want to be able at least to have the chance at building a better life for ourselves, being able to build wealth and own homes, take care of our families, and not struggle, and not have our tax dollars go to foreign wars and to illegals, illegal immigrants who have come into this country illegally. That is not what we want. That is not what the American people want. And if you're scared, if you're voting out of fear, because they use fear mongering to control us, to control how we vote, do not let these people scare you. They work for us. We decide whether or not they have their positions. So, I'm praying to God that this will be a fair election and that Donald Trump will win. What the Democrats ran on this particular election cycle was pure evil. And we had Obama, aka Nobama, who did nothing for blacks, admonishing black men. And there's something else I'd also like to mention. We had Magic Johnson, too, who supported Kamala Harris and who was called to speak to blacks, especially black men. And there were a lot of people who were criticizing Magic Johnson for his son being who he is. I think that was wrong. I don't agree with Magic Johnson, and as he was a great basketball player. He played when I was a kid. I think it's wrong to attack him because his son is who he is. I'm transgender, and my dad's a great man. I had both parents growing up, and I grew up in a great household. We disagree politically and on other things too, but I'm sure Magic Johnson was a great father to his kids. I was at the DMV yesterday renewing my CDL license, and there were a lot of illegal migrants there. And at the window next to me, there was a Hispanic guy there. Maybe he was Venezuelan, I don't know. The lady that was waiting on him asked if he had insurance. She said, "No insurance?" And he just kind of put his head down and started scrolling on his phone. I believe he was trying to register his vehicle, but that has always been compulsory. To register a vehicle, you must have car insurance or auto insurance. It wouldn't surprise me if they're registering vehicles for them who have come into this country illegally without insurance. A lot of them probably don't have licenses either. And I'm not saying that every person who has crossed the border is a bad person. That's not what I'm saying, but that it has hurt a lot of Americans. And what the Democrats have done by putting Cardi B up there, Meg the Stallion, entertainers like that, it's a major insult to blacks. That's what they think that we're like. They believe that that's what we want to see. No, it's not. I believe that the Democrats will continue to lose elections unless they finally do something for blacks, their most loyal voting bloc. The Democratic Party of today is not the same party as they were 20 or 30 years ago. Not at all. They have gone far left, too far to the left. Thank you for listening, everyone. Please stay safe. Our time is now. Let's change the world. Thank you for watching.